Continuing to read Wonder by RJ Palacio. We're starting with School on page 239. I hardly saw Via at school this year, and when I did, it was awkward. It felt like she was judging me. I knew she didn't like my new look. I knew she didn't like my new group of friends. I didn't like her as much either. We never actually argued, we just drifted away. Ella and I bad-mouthed her to each other. She was such a prude, she's so this, she's so that. We knew we were being mean, but it was easier to ice her out if we pretended she had done something to us. The truth is, she hadn't changed at all. We had. We'd become those other people, and she was still the person she'd always been. That annoyed me so much, and I didn't know why. Once in a while, I'd look to see where she was sitting in the lunchroom or check the elective list to see if she'd signed up for. But except for a few nods in the hallway and an occasional hello, we never really spoke to each other. I noticed Justin about halfway through the school year. I hadn't noticed him at all before then, other than that he was this skinny, cutish guy with these thick glasses and longish hair who carried a violin everywhere. Then one day I saw him in front of the school with his arm around Via. "So Via has a boyfriend," I said to Ella, kind of mocking. I don't know why it surprised me that she'd have a boyfriend. Out of the three of us, she was totally the prettiest. Blue eyes and long, wavy, dark hair. But she'd never just acted like she was all interested in boys. She acted like she was just too smart for that kind of stuff. I had a boyfriend too, a guy named Zach. When I told him I was choosing the theater elective, he shook his head and said, "Careful, you don't want to turn into a drama geek." Not the most sympathetic dude in the world, but very cute. Very high up on the totem pole, a varsity jock. I wasn't planning on taking theater at first. Then I saw Via's name on the sign-up sheet and just wrote my name down on the list. I don't even know why. We managed to avoid each other throughout most of the semester, like we didn't even know each other. Then one day I got to theater class a little early, and Davenport asked me to run off a few additional copies of the play he was planning on having us do for the spring production, The Elephant Man. I'd heard about it, but I really didn't know what it was about, so I started skimming through the pages while I was waiting for the Xerox machine. It was about a man who lived more than 100 years ago, named John Merrick, who was terribly deformed. "We can't do this play, Mr. D," I told him when I got back to class, and I told him why. My little brother has a birth defect and a deformed face, and this play would hit too close to home. He seemed annoyed and a little unsympathetic, but I kind of said that my parents would have a real issue with our town doing this play. So anyway, he ended up switching to our town. I think I went for the role of Emily Gibbs because I knew Via was going for it too. It never occurred to me that I'd beat her for the role. What I miss most. One of the things I miss the most about Via's friendship is her family. I love her mom and dad. They were always so welcoming and nice to me. I knew they loved their kids more than anything. I always felt safe around them, safer than anywhere else in the world. How pathetic that I felt safer in someone else's house than in my own, right? And of course, I loved Augie. I was never afraid of him, even when I was little. I had friends that couldn't believe I'd ever go over to Via's house. "His face creeps me out," they'd say. "You're stupid," I'd tell them. Augie's face wasn't so bad when she got used to it. I called Via's house once just to say hi to Augie. Maybe the part of me was hoping Via would answer. I don't know. "Hey, Major Tom," I said, using my nickname for him. "Miranda!" He sounded so happy to hear my voice, it actually kind of took me by surprise. "I'm going to a regular school now," he told me excitedly. "Really? Wow," I said, totally shocked. I guess I never thought he'd go to a regular school. His parents have always been so protective of him. I guess I thought he'd always be that little kid in the astronaut helmet that I gave him. Talking to him, I could tell he had no idea that Via and I weren't close anymore. "It's different in high school," I explained to him. "You end up hanging out with loads of different people." "I have some friends in my new school," he told me, "a kid named Jack and a girl named Summer." "That's awesome, Augie," I said. "Well, I was calling to tell you I missed you and I hope you're having a good year. Feel free to call me whenever you want, okay, Augie? You know I love you." "I love you too, Miranda. Say hi to Via for me. Tell her I miss her." "I will. Bye." Bye. Extraordinary, but no one there to see it. Neither my mother or my father could come to see the play on opening night. My mother because she had this thing at work, and my dad because his new wife was going to have her baby any second now and he had to be on call. Zach couldn't come to opening night either. He had a volleyball game against Collegiate he couldn't miss. In fact, he had wanted me to miss the opening night so I could come cheer him on. My friends all went to the game, of course, because all their boyfriends were playing. Even Ella didn't come. Given a choice, she'd choose the crowd. So on opening night, no one that was remotely close to me was even there. And the thing is, I realized in my third or fourth rehearsal that I was good at this acting thing. I felt the part. I understood the words I spoke. And I could read the lines as if they were coming from my brain and my heart. And on opening night, and I can honestly say, I knew I was going to be more than good. I was going to be great. I was going to be extraordinary, but there would be no one there to see it. We were all backstage, nervously running through our lines in our heads. I peeked through the curtain at the people taking their seats in the auditorium. That's when I saw Augie walking down the aisle with Isabel and Nate. They took 3 seats in the 5th row near the middle. Augie was wearing a bow tie, looking around excitedly. He had grown up a bit since I'd last seen him almost a year ago. His hair was shorter, and he was wearing some kind of a hearing aid now. His face hasn't changed much. Davenport was running through some last-minute changes with the set director. I saw Justin pacing off stage left, mumbling his line nervously. "Mr. Davenport," I said, surprising myself as I spoke, "I'm sorry, but I can't go on tonight." Davenport turned around slowly. "What?" he said. "I'm sorry. Are you kidding? I muttered, looking down. "I don't feel well. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm going to throw up." This was a lie. "It's just last-minute jitters. No, I can't do it. I'm telling you." Davenport looked furious. "Miranda, this is outrageous." "I'm sorry." Davenport took a deep breath, like he was trying to restrain himself. To be truthful, I thought he looked like he was going to explode. His forehead turned bright pink. "Miranda, this is absolutely unacceptable. Now go take a few deep breaths and—" "I'm not going on," I said loudly, and the tears came to my eyes fairly easily. "Fine," he screamed, not even looking at me. Then he turned to a kid named David, who was the set decorator. "Go find Olivia in the lighting booth. Tell her she's failing in for Miranda tonight." "What?" said David, who wasn't too swift. "Go!" shouted Davenport in his face. "Now!" The other kids had caught what was going on and gathered around. "What's going on?" said Justin. "Last minute change of plans," said Davenport. "Miranda doesn't feel well." "I feel sick," I said, trying to sound sick. "So why are you still here?" Davenport said to me angrily. "Stop talking. Take off your costume and give it to Olivia, okay? Come on, everybody, let's go. Go, go, go." I ran backstage to the dressing room as quickly as I could, and I started peeling off my costume. 2 seconds later, there was a knock, and Via half opened the door. "What's going on?" she said. "Hurry up, put it on," I answered, handing her the dress. "You're sick?" "Yeah, hurry up." Via looked stunned, took off her t-shirt and jeans, and pulled the long dress over her head. I pulled it down for her and then zipped up the back. Luckily, Emily Webb didn't go on until 10 minutes into the play, so the girl handling hair and makeup had time to put Via's hair up in a twist and do a quick makeup job. I'd never seen Via with a lot of makeup on. She looked like a model. "I'm not even sure I remember any lines," Via said, looking at herself in the mirror. "Your lines." "You'll do great," I said. She looked at me in the mirror. "Why are you doing this, Miranda?" "Olivia," it was Davenport, hush shouting from the door. "You're on in 2 minutes. It's now or never." Via followed him out the door, so I never got the chance to answer a question. I don't know what I would have said anyway. I wasn't sure what the answer was. The performance. I watched the rest of the play from the wings just off stage next to Davenport. Justin was amazing, and Via in her heartbreaking last scene was awesome. There was one line she flubbed a bit, but Justin covered for her, and no one in the audience even noticed. I heard Davenport muttering under his breath, "Good, good, good." He was more nervous than all the students put together. The actors, the set decorators, the lighting team, the guy handling the curtains. Davenport was a wreck, frankly. The only time I felt any regret, if you could even call it that, was at the end of the play when everyone went out for their curtain calls. Via and Justin were the last of the actors walking out on stage, and the audience rose to their feet when they took their bows. That, I admit, was a little bittersweet for me. But just a few minutes later, I saw Nate and Isabel and Augie making their way backstage, and they all seemed so happy. Everyone was congratulating the actors, patting them on the back. It was that crazy backstage theater mayhem where sweaty actors stand euphoric while people come worshiping them for a few seconds. In that crush of people, I noticed Augie looking kind of lost. I cut through the crowd as fast as I could and came up behind him. "Hey," I said, "Major Tom." After the show. I can't say why I was so happy to see August again after so long, or how good it felt when he hugged me. I can't believe how big you've gotten, I said to him. I thought you were going to be in the play, he said. Wasn't up to it, I said. But Via was great, what, don't you think? He nodded. 2 seconds later, Isabel found us. Miranda, she said happily, giving me a kiss on the cheek, and then to August, don't ever disappear like that again. You're the one who disappeared, Augie answered back. How are you feeling, Isabel said to me. Via told us you got sick. Much better, I answered. Is your mom here, said Isabel. No, she had work stuff, so it's actually not a big deal for me, I said truthfully. We have 2 more shows anyway, though I don't think I'll be as good in Emily as Via was tonight. Nate came over and we had basically the same exact conversation. Then Isabel said, look, we're going to have a late night dinner to celebrate the show. Are you feeling up to joining us? We'd love to have you. No, I started to say. Please, said Augie. I should go home, I said. We insist, said Nate. By now, Via and Justin had come over with Justin's mom, and Via put her arm around me. You're definitely coming, she said, smiling at her old smile at me. They started leading me out of the crowd, and I have to admit, for the very first time in a very, very long time, I felt absolutely happy. We'll continue reading Wonder.